Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Karen Malott, and I'm here to help you look at the critical appraisal grading rubric and actually less of the rubric, but more of the graphic organizer. I wanted to start with the grading rubric because part of the graphic organizer is going to be able to help you write the main body of the paper. But just to get a sense of what this paper will be asking you to do is first, as you see here, you're going to have a title page and we have criteria for what that's supposed to look like. Then as we go down on the grading rubric, you're going to see, if I can make this move. Okay, let me see. There we go. Then we have the introduction part of your paper where we have some very specific, some broad terms, concisely, accurately, critically appraises the introduction of the variable, specific aims, or research question. And then we have a bunch of questions here for you on the rubric. These questions for the introductory part of the paper are going to be located in the graphic organizer that I'm going to show you. So a graphic organizer is a way to help you gather your thoughts about something that you're writing or a project that you're working on. And so that's the first part of the paper is the introduction. Then we're going to move down here into the next. So there's all these other little comments, report title, you're supposed to critique that, the abstract. I'm going to go into a little bit deeper into those in a little bit. And then we are going to keep moving down here and get to the problem and the purpose statement of your paper. So again, you'll see a bunch of questions. These questions are going to be on your graphic organizer. So basically the graphic organizer helps you take the article that you're supposed to use to critique the article that you're selected. Okay, so this whole assignment is basically going to help you critique a research article. What we need to critique the article for is its usefulness in practice. Is it going to be able to help us when we start to look at using this information from this article to take care of a patient and to improve patient outcomes? So having a critical mind and having good critical thinking, we have to appraise the article for certain aspects. We want to make sure, for instance, that the research authors are credible and that they are they have the right education to do this kind of research. So this graphic organizer is a piece of paper to help you organize your thoughts about what you think about this article. So first of all, you can put the name of your article here, and we're going to assign you 2 articles for your collaborative qualitative and collaborative quantitative papers. Then you have your evaluation criteria, which are all those questions I just showed you on the rubric. And so all you do is when you're taking a look at this article, you want to look at these questions. For instance, in the introduction part of the article, introduction, does the author introduce the phenomenon of the study and the related concepts? And you just over here say yes or no. So they're just really, this kind of an article is just looking at what is or what is not there. As we go further down, you'll see another piece is author qualifications. Do the qualifications indicate a degree of knowledge in this field? Yes or no? Is the report well written, concisely, grammatically correct? Yes or no? Is there avoidance of jargon? Was it well organized? Yes or no? Okay, so you're going to have a whole bunch of list of yes or no's here. And you may actually write some comments as to particular things that you saw. For instance, if you saw a lot of jargon here and jargon for the author writing style, then you maybe want to say, yes, there was a lot of jargon. The author just went on and on about this and that and, abbreviations for this and abbreviations for that without explaining what they were, for instance, okay? So you're also going to keep going down on this graphic organizer and you will make sure that is the title clear, accurate, ambiguous. So this means that you're going to look at the title of the research article. Is it clear what's going to be studied? If you were to look at that research article title, would you be able to know what the article is going to be about? Was it accurate? Was it unambiguous? Was it clear and accurate? And then also in the title of the article, does the research topic pop out at you in the title? Did they discuss the method that they used in the title? Did they talk about what kind of patients or what kind of sample that they had done the research with, and what kind of results were they obtaining from their study? So as we keep moving down there, then we also look at the abstract of the article and we look for certain things. So does the abstract, you're going to answer this question, offer a clear overview of the study? So when you read the abstract, are you able to know, hey, I think this article would be good. It sounds like it's very close to my PICO question, and I think that it has the research problem. It talks about the sample, it talks about the methods used, the findings, and the recommendations. So you would say yes to that question, yes to the next question. Make sure that you're going to answer all of those. Then we go to the next part of the paper, and I just want to say that this introductory part of this paper will not necessarily be labeled the problem purpose statement in your article. Although research articles do have particular sections that are headers and they are very classically known, such as the methodology, the design, the results, the findings, the conclusions, the discussion parts of research articles are all classically well titled. But this part of the paper where we see the introduction, the problem, the purpose statement is never really identified with those types of headers. But it is the very beginning of the article. The very first paragraphs in the articles will include the introduction, what's wrong, what is the problem, what do we know about this study? I'm sorry about my voice. What do we know about this study? And this problem, and why is it important to study? So that's sort of the background. So this is the qualitative research article graphic organizer, and so in qualitative we would want to know, is the phenomenon and the research question consistent? So look for the research question. Sometimes it may not be in the article itself, but if you find the purpose of the research article, then you pretty much have found where the research question is. It's really in that purpose statement. So we just want to make sure that the researcher is saying, here's the research question, and is that matching what phenomenon they're saying above that they are going to be talking about? So is it consistent, basically? Next, does the report provide rationale for the significance or why the study is important? So I told you that was one of the things that would be very important to make sure that the researchers, they're saying that. If you can't find a significance, then you say no. Remember this column over here is yes or no, yes or no. And so you would say no, the authors do not provide rationale why this study is important to practice or to patients or to patient outcomes or to the healthcare system. So that would be a critique. That would say, gee, what's wrong with these people? Why aren't they talking about why the study is important? Okay, so you should definitely see that in the article, but the fact that you don't means that it's a critical appraisal. It's a critique of what this article has to offer you as a clinician who's working in the hospital with the patient. Next, you want to look for, do they discuss a background of the study? Did they talk about the problem? Are there some statistics there about how common diabetes is in America with foot amputations? Or do they talk about how many patients live with left ventricular assist devices in the home, at home, before waiting for transplant? Do they talk about what their caregiver needs are? Do they talk about what knowledge has come before that is backing up this need for this research? They also should be saying what the purpose of the study is. Is there a statement of study importance or significance? So do you see how this question is very different than this question, although they seem very similar? So make sure that you're answering both questions because both of them are important. On the literature view, you want to make sure that the authors do talk about the literature, what is known and what is not known. That's the whole goal of the literature review, is to provide a stable knowledge base from where we're what we know and where we're jumping off to learn something new so that we can combine it with the knowledge that we have currently and advance knowledge from this research project. And the next question always stumbles, how students get a little stumped on this, the philosophical underpinning of the study. So this is asking, does the literature meet the philosophical underpinning of the study? So we're talking about a qualitative study, and a qualitative study is more exploratory and really does go with the researcher's philosophy of how people gain their knowledge. They mostly feel like reality is constructed, it's interpreted by people. It's not always black and white, that it can be a little bit abstract. And so people make meanings of their environment, of their experiences. And so what we want to see is that the literature review in a qualitative study understands and provides some literature based on these aspects of the topic. So we want to see that some of the literature that they've reviewed, some of the research articles they're talking about, have come from a philosophical standpoint of having qualitative type of articles provided. Does the review of the literature fulfill its objectives? Okay, so the first question here is, what is the objective of the literature review? Okay, so the literature review, the main reason we're doing a literature review is to say, what do we know about something? What do we know now? What do we need to know? And where is this going to take us? So you just have to answer that question, yes or no. Does the literature give you enough knowledge about this topic to make you think that, gee, this is an important topic and we should continue on studying it in this study, and this would be really important to gain knowledge about this for practice. Okay. So the next question here is important, the theoretical framework. Has a conceptual or theoretical framework been identified? This will always be critiqued in a qualitative study because the authors are trying to relate the data that they're getting to knowledge that is already known. And so that's what a theoretical framework is, a conceptual framework. And all you have to do is look for those words in the article. You don't have to make up a conceptual framework or theoretical framework. The answer to this question is either yes or no. There's one or there's not one. Some students feel like they have to make one up for the authors because they haven't cited it. So just again, as I'm saying, use this column over here for yes, no. The critique is a different kind of paper, and it is definitely a yes, no, and then a little bit of summary to explain some of the things. So now we're on to the method and the qualitative, and I probably need to hurry up here. So now you're going to be looking to see, does the researcher talk about their philosophical belief system, their values? How do they see the world? What lens do they take a look at when they look at the world? Do they focus on symbolic interactionism, which is basically the communication between people? Are they looking at the world with a very pragmatic view, very practical, utilitarian kind of viewpoint? Are they feeling like people are learning about their world and constructing knowledge as they live through different experiences? So these, you'll notice that all have ISM at the end: pragmatism, constructivism, interpretivism, naturalistic, doesn't have an ism, but all of those are types of philosophies that you're going to be looking for, and the researcher should really explain what those are. So again, if you don't see that the researcher has not explained this, then the answer is going to be no. The author has not explained their philosophical approach. If you don't see any kind of an ism or constructivism, interpretivism discussed here, naturalistic settings, naturalistic, philosophy, which just basically means that we're going to where the people live and looking at their world from their viewpoint, from their patient's world viewpoint. Okay, so this can continue going on here. I'm just going to go forward a little bit. We have, you're going to be looking at the sample. So we want you to look at the sampling method. That's how the participants are selected. Are they snowballed? Is it nominal? Is it convenient sample? Then we want to see how many subjects or participants are in the sample, and